Day 1 began with a strange mix of overwhelming motivation and a deep-seated fear of the commitment I had just made to eliminate everything processed from my plate for an entire week. The initial trip to the supermarket felt like a reconnaissance mission into hostile territory, forcing me to reread every single nutrition label with a level of scrutiny I usually reserve for important contracts. My first meal, a simple bowl of steamed vegetables and lean protein, looked artistically vibrant, but the absence of familiar salt and sugar made my brain immediately register a profound sense of something missing. By late afternoon, on this first day, the usual caffeine-fueled energy spike never materialized, leaving me staring blankly at my screen, genuinely wondering if I had severely underestimated this challenge already. I deliberately filmed my face right before bed, capturing the slight tension around my jaw, a silent testament to the internal battle against old cravings that the evening always seems to amplify. Day 2 brought about a strange, dull headache that I suspect was my body staging a small protest against the sudden withdrawal of its favorite processed fuel sources, which was frankly quite alarming to experience. I focused heavily on hydration today, repeatedly filling a large glass water bottle, hoping that sheer volume of clear liquid could somehow trick my system into feeling momentarily satisfied. Lunch required an unplanned, quick stop at a local market to find some fresh ingredients. And surprisingly, I found myself bypassing the familiar snack aisle with barely a second glance this time. The energy level remained low, but I noticed a significant difference in my digestion. The heavy, sluggish feeling that usually follows my midday meal was completely absent, which felt revolutionary. Tonight's dinner involved more intentional seasoning and presentation, an attempt to visually trick my palate into believing this humble plate of food was actually a decadent feast worthy of celebration. As the sun set on day 2, I documented my mood, which was surprisingly stable, demonstrating that willpower, when paired with necessity, can indeed be a very powerful, if exhausting, force. Entering day 3, I felt the shift begin, not in raw energy, but in a subtle mental clarity, like someone had finally wiped a layer of grime off the lens through which I view the world. I caught myself smiling genuinely at the simplicity of my morning coffee, which, although black and unsweetened, suddenly tasted richer, the inherent flavor of the bean finally taking center stage. Today's major meal preparation involved soaking nuts and seeds overnight, a necessary new routine that felt incredibly productive and grounded, reminding me that good things require patient waiting. My energy peaked unexpectedly mid-afternoon during a walk outside, providing a strong, clean burst that felt sustainable, unlike the sharp, aggressive spike I normally chase. I specifically noted the lack of afternoon brain fog during a complex work task, where usually I would be desperately reaching for a sugary snack to push through the final hours. When I looked in the mirror tonight, the puffiness around my eyes that I had just accepted as normal seemed noticeably diminished, which was a truly surprising visual reward for the discipline. Day 4 required me to cook for others who were eating normally, and the smell of that forbidden food was a true test, making my commitment waver for a solid, agonizing 30 seconds. I managed the situation by stepping away briefly to drink a large cup of herbal tea, using that small physical break to reset my mental focus back onto my own chosen path. The food prep now feels less like a chore and more like a mindful craft, a deliberate act of self-care, where every chop and stir is an investment in my long-term well-being. My sleep quality has drastically improved, falling asleep much faster and staying asleep longer, suggesting my body is finally processing its fuel efficiently, instead of constantly fighting digestion. Looking back at my day 1 journal entry, the desperation is palpable, and it highlights just how quickly the baseline of what feels normal can shift when faced with a clear objective. Even though I'm only halfway through, the mental fatigue of constantly making food choices has been replaced by a surprising sense of momentum and quiet confidence. I realized today that I haven't even thought about ordering takeout once, which is a monumental behavioral victory that deserves more celebration than any indulgent meal could ever offer. The skin on my hands feels softer. The small aches I used to ignore are less pronounced. And these subtle physical affirmations are incredibly motivating to keep pushing toward the finish line. I am learning that true satisfaction doesn't come from the immediate hit of sugar, but from the sustained, low-level hum of a body that is finally functioning exactly as it was designed to. My facial expressions in the mirror are changing. They are less strained by internal conflict and more relaxed, reflecting an external peace that has finally settled within my system. The final few days are always the hardest part, where the novelty has worn off and all that remains is the sheer commitment to honor the promise I made to myself earlier in the week. I am so curious to see what the post-challenge version of me will look like, not just physically, but in terms of how I approach my daily fuel choices going forward from this point. This experiment has taught me that restriction isn't about deprivation. It's actually about making space for something fundamentally better to grow and take root in its place. I'm finishing this week feeling incredibly proud, not because I successfully navigated 7 days, but because I proved my own mind can powerfully direct my body's habits when the intention is truly set.